This is Story Recapped. Today I'm going to explain an action-adventure fantasy film called The Beastmaster. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. In the city of Aruk, Maax, the high priest, enters a chamber where three witches are performing a ritual. The witches tell Maax that he will die at the hands of King Zed's unborn son, but Maax defiantly asserts that the infant will die that night. King Zed suddenly enters the room and banishes Maax to the territory of the barbarian Juns for planning a child sacrifice to his god Ar. Later that night, a witch takes a cow into Zed's bedchamber and pours an incapacitating elixir on the king and his wife. Afterward, the witch uses her powers to transfer the unborn child from the queen's womb to a cow, killing the queen in the process. Later, the witch goes to the wilderness and takes the infant from the cow's womb to sacrifice the child to Ar. A traveler passing by the area witnesses the witch branding the infant with Ar's symbol. As she is about to stab the baby, the traveler throws a weapon called the kappa at her, but the witch vanishes after he pulls out the weapon from her back. The witch suddenly reappears behind him and uses her powers to take away his sword, but he manages to grab it and stab her. The man brings the infant to his hometown Emir and names him Dar. As Dar grows up, the man trains him to fight with a sword and a kappa. While training with Dar one day, a huge bear suddenly attacks their neighbor and walks towards them. His father tells him to run, but Dar slowly approaches the bear and stares at it until it goes away. His father realizes that Dar has extraordinary powers over animals, so he advises the boy to keep it a secret. Soon, Dar grows up to be a man and starts working with the villagers to till the soil. While working in the field one day, his dog alerts them to the arrival of Juns, so Dar immediately runs back to the village. Soon, the Juns arrive at the gates, so Dar's father and the villagers grab their weapons to defend their homes. By the time Dar arrives, the Jun horde is already slaughtering the men and women in the village. Dar attempts to go after the Jun leader, but a rider chases him and knocks him down. As the dog tries to pull Dar to safety, a barbarian shoots the animal with an arrow. Despite its wounds, the dog pulls Dar away and takes him to the forest. Soon, Dar wakes up and discovers that his dog has died. Upon his return to the village, he learns that no one survived, so he arranges the bodies of the villagers in a circle to cremate them. As he sets fire to the corpses, he recalls his father telling him to look for their enemies, the Juns, and seek his destiny in the valley of the Aruk. A golden eagle starts following him on his way out of the devastated village. While Dar is resting by a brook, two ferrets suddenly steal his belt and run off into the woods. Dar immediately chases after them, but he falls off a cliff and plunges into quicksand. Dar notices the ferrets on a tree branch, so he asks them for help. After a while, the ferrets start gnawing on the branch, allowing Dar to reach for it when it leans to the ground. One of the ferrets sinks into the quicksand, but Dar rescues it. Dar decides to take the two ferrets as his new travel companions and names them Kodo and Podo. As Dar continues his journey, he senses a beast being captured by Juns, so Dar uses his abilities to see through the animal's eyes. Dar immediately searches for the animal and discovers that it's a panther. With the help of the eagle and the ferrets, Dar fights with the Juns and releases the panther, which he names Rue. When Dar comes across two beautiful women bathing by the waterfall, he asks the ferrets to steal their clothes. One of the women, Kiri, chases after the ferrets, but she encounters Rue in the woods. As Kiri backs away, Dar grabs her and advises her to avoid showing any fear to escape the ferocious beast. After the panther leaves, Dar kisses Kiri, noting that it's just payment for saving her life. Kiri suddenly trips Dar to the ground and asks him who he is, so Dar introduces himself and stresses that he means no harm. After he reveals that the Juns raised this village, Kiri discloses that she's a slave to the priests of Ar. Dar notices the scars on her back, indicating that they're beating her. Dar advises her to escape, promising that he'll protect her, but Kiri stresses that her family would be put to death if she flees. She takes off after advising Dar to forget about her. Dar soon tries to look for Kiri, but he comes across a shrine on the hilltop and discovers a man in a cage. Dar investigates a cauldron under a tree and finds a human head inside. When he turns away, he suddenly finds himself surrounded by numerous humanoid creatures. Dar releases the man in captivity, but one of the creatures grabs him and engulfs him with its bat-like wings. As the man struggles to break free, toxic liquid spills out of the creature's wings. By the time the creature opens its wings, there's nothing left on the prisoner but bare bones. The creature soon starts approaching Dar, but they back away after the eagle lands on his arm. As Dar attempts to leave, one of the creatures slides a medallion with a bird symbol on his sword. Soon, Dar arrives in the city of Aruk, so he disguises himself to investigate. Upon reaching the pyramid, he sees Maax sacrificing a child to Ar. After throwing the child into the fire, Maax claims that Ar is still unsatisfied, so he instructs his priests to find another child. The priests pull a little girl from the crowd and take her to the pyramid. Maax soon drops the girl into the flames, but Dar's eagle swoops down to rescue her. Everyone in the crowd, except for Dar, bows in worship of Ar. As the eagle flies above them, Maax points to it, claiming it's a sign that Ar wants their children. That evening, Dar finds the young girl's house and reunites her with her parents. The father, Sako, expresses his gratitude and tells him how Aruk fell into Maax's hands. He reveals that the Jun slaughtered most of the young men in the city and imprisoned King Zed in the pyramid. Maax breeds the surviving men and women so he can sacrifice their children to Ar. When Dar asks him about slave girls, Sako reveals that they have been taken to the temple to prepare them for their deaths. Meanwhile, Maax asks his priests to find the stranger who seems capable of controlling the beasts. In the morning, the priest tasked with finding Dar comes across him in the woods. Maax, who's watching through an eye on the priest's ring, sees Ar's symbol on Dar's palm, so he immediately asks the priest to kill him. The priest strangles Dar with a rope, but Ru arrives and attacks him. Ru then chases another priest on horseback, but the panther falls into a trapping pit. As the priest prepares to shoot Ru with the crossbow, Seth arrives and hits him in the arm. The priest then tries to attack his young companion Tal, but Seth blocks him with his staff and shoves him into the pit. Dar soon arrives as the panther kills the priest in the pit. After Dar thanks them for saving the panther, Seth and Tal help him put a log into the pit to allow Ru to climb out. Seth claims that they're pilgrims headed to the temple to worship Ar. Dar notes that he's also headed to the temple, so he joins them in their journey. That night, Seth reveals that they're trying to raise an army to fight the Juns and free Tal's father, Zed, from captivity. When Seth asks Dar about his animal companions, Dar reveals that he was gifted with the ability to see through their eyes and know their thoughts. Dar shows them the items his ferrets have stolen and gives Tal a ring from the priest who tried to kill him. Seth recognizes Kiri's necklace among the items and gets suspicious of him, so Dar explains that the ferret stole it from a slave girl and notes that he's going to the temple to rescue her before she's killed. When Dar asks Tal how they know the necklace's owner, Tal reveals that she's his cousin, Kiri. When Dar wakes up, he uses the eagle's eye to scout the area and discovers that the priests are taking the slave girls out of the temple. Later, the trio disguises themselves as boatmen who will take the priests and the women across the lake. When they see a priest trying to drown Kiri, Seth beats the priest with his staff and removes his disguise. The two men quickly beat the priest and tie them up. As they flee on their barge, more priests arrive, so Kiri pushes their captive priests to the lake to lighten the load. After getting back on land, Seth parts ways with the group to find more rebels to help them free Zed. Tal, Dar, and Kiri return to Aruk and hide in Sako's cart to sneak into the pyramid, but Maax sees them arriving through Tal's eye ring. Upon entering the pyramid, caged creatures wearing armor and spikes try to grab Dar, so he climbs onto a chain to go to the other end of the corridor. He then pulls a lever that shuts the cages, allowing Tal and Kiri to go through the corridor safely. Tal notes that the vicious creatures are known as death guards. When they reach an open grate, they see a priest torturing and mutilating a man to create a death guard. Tal notices the key in the chamber, so Dar lowers his ferrets on a string to steal them while the priest put an armor on the newly created death guard. While a priest is distracted by a ferret, the death guard attacks them and breaks the string tying the two animals. As the ferrets escape from the room, Dar notes that they will eventually catch up, so they follow Kiri into a dungeon to find Zed. Soon, they find Zed in his cell and find it unlocked. When Dar examines Zed, he discovers his eyes have been taken out, so he covers them with a rag. A witch and Maax suddenly lock them inside and note that they will be sacrificed at dawn. However, the witch and Maax see Ru approaching, so they have no choice but to enter the cell. The witch immediately goes after Dar and blinds him with a flash of light. Tal confronts Maax for blinding Zed, but Maax subdues him and takes him hostage. Dar swings his sword aimlessly to attack the witch, but he fails to hit anything. When he looks through the panther's eyes, he realizes that the witch is on the ceiling, so he points his sword up and stabs her. Kiri manages to disarm Maax and free Tal from his grip. When Ru breaks down the door, Maax decides to flee through a hidden corridor. The group heads to another chamber and opens a stairway that will take them out of the city. Dar asks Ru to protect the group while he stays behind to wait for the ferrets. When Dar sees several priests approaching, he locks the door and shuts the opening to the stairway. The ferrets soon emerge and head towards the door to get away from the death guard chasing them. The death guard ends up slaughtering the priests after the ferrets go through a small opening under the door. As Dar retrieves the ferrets, Kiri returns and tells him that they can escape through the air shaft. While they are going through the shaft, the death guard breaks down the door and follows them. Upon reaching the end of the shaft, Kiri throws a rope so they get down the hill safely. The death guard tries cutting the rope so the eagle attacks him, causing him to fall to the ground. The rope eventually snaps, but Dar and Kiri fall onto Sako's carriage filled with hay. Soon, they reach the city gates, but they discover they're closed. Dar ties the ferrets to the eagle so they can go over the wall and cut the rope holding the gate's counterweights. While they wait for the gates to open, more death guards arrive, so they head to the gates even though it remains closed. A guard discovers the ferrets and attempts to chop one of them with his sword, but the other one gets into his clothes, causing him to hit the rope instead. The gates soon open, allowing the group to get through. Dar immediately cuts the counterweight rope, trapping the death guards under the gate. Zed refuses to listen to Dar because he thinks he's a freak who communicates with beasts. Dar leaves the camp with tears running down his cheek. As Zed discusses his plans to attack the pyramid, Seth notices the eye on Tal's ring, so he stabs it with a stick and throws it into the campfire. Seth warns Zed that Maax knows their plan, but Zed is determined to kill Maax. Soon after Dar wakes up, Sako tells him that Zed's plan failed and notes that Kiri, Seth, and Zed were all captured by Maax. Dar immediately heads to the pyramid and sees the priest taking Kiri to the top of the pyramid. On his way to the pyramid, Dar throws the ferrets to the cage where the priests keep Seth and Tal so the animals can free them from the ropes. Maax attempts to plunge a dagger into Kiri's heart, but Dar arrives, so Maax decides to take Zed hostage. After Dar kills the last priest, Maax tells Zed that his unborn son returned to fulfill the prophecy. Dar slowly puts down his sword to appease Maax, but Maax stabs Zed and proceeds to attack Dar. Maax uses all his strength to stab Dar, but Dar twists his arm and plunges the dagger into his gut. Dar goes on to stab the witch with his sword, but she manages to get away by transforming into a dove. Maax gets up and attempts to kill Dar as he carries Kiri down the pyramid, but one of the ferrets jumps on his neck. As the ferret bites him, Maax falls into the fire pit, taking the ferret with him. Before they can even get down from the pyramid, they notice a Jun horde approaching the city. To prepare for the attack, the villagers immediately go outside the gates to hide a moat filled with tar. Meanwhile, Dar throws the medallion to the eagle and sends it to the shrine of the bat-like creatures to call for help. When the Juns attempt to attack that night, they fall on the moat as the villagers had planned. However, the villagers failed to light the tar on fire, so Tal and Kiri go outside before the gates can close. Tal attempts to set the tar ablaze, but he gets shot by an arrow. A while later, Dar climbs over the gate, followed by Seth. A Jun that climbed out of the moat attempts to attack Kiri, but she sets him on fire with a torch, and Dar kicks him into the moat. The tar in the moat immediately ignites and sets numerous barbarians on fire. A few Juns manage to make it over the moat, so Dar, Kiri, and Seth try to fight them off. The group eventually finds themselves surrounded as more barbarians climb over the moat. Soon, the Jun leader leaps over the moat on horseback and challenges Dar into single combat. After carefully evading his attacks, Dar tackles him out of the horse and engages him in a sword fight. After they both lose their swords, the Jun leader tries attacking Dar by swinging his club, but it gets stuck on a bridge. Dar kicks him several times until he gets impaled by his own club. When the Jun leader gets up, Dar kicks him in the head and hurls him into the flames. As the other Juns surround the group, Seth loses hope of surviving, but the eagle arrives with the bat-like creatures. The fearsome creatures immediately engulf the barbarians in their wings and emaciate them. As soon as the villagers raise the gates, they take Tal into a house to treat his wounds. In the morning, Dar attempts to leave, but Seth discovers the symbol of R in his hand and realizes that he's Zed's firstborn. He notes that Dar should be king, but Dar points out that Seth trained Tal to take over as the new leader. Dar asks Seth to give his kappa to Tal and leave the city. As Dar and the animals prepare for a new journey, Kiri arrives and joins them. Moments later, the eagle arrives and flies around Kiri and Dar as they embrace and kiss.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.